Alright, Teba Chimbiki, Che Sanjoko Van Tobi Chedu, the Teba Chimbe Lam Yamne, Jevala, Chanchu Sem Gule Jehore, Chanchu Sem, and Yamlen Jelia, and Dashan Yamji Yugone, and Chanchu Sem Yamlen Jimba, that Junjula Sunjba, the Tikorma Shugore.
Good evening. So we're continuing to look at the stages of training that a practitioner engages in to enter into the Mahayana Dharma, which has as its goal the attainment of Buddhahood for the sake of others. And the entranceway is a generation of bodhicitta. And thereafter one engages in cultivating this mind, and there are varying techniques, and this text presents that of equalizing and exchanging self with others.
The junior Soyadi, that's when you go about the Rangi, Nanikawa, and the chip gave you some of the Gombi to Gondi Pivi, Chido, Nagarangi Chido, and the Jiskumari Mado, Sumba Yimado, that Shen Jike Dollar Dene, Sundabu, San Yusunji, Dollar Dene, Yamlinji, Tukandikilla, and Delia, Didon Dalla Sungo Mares. 아직 개발진비 최라 되는 메디게 안델이야 안지게 도메링이 디수이된다 숨메스 지산 디수기 되신 대신에 삼아달라 메디수이된다 숨메스 근데 가르쳐 소바레스 내가 브랑기 일하 콤베시라스 랑이냐마 개와 안지게 잠니제 자주셈 파신 쪽에 냠는 로소바 냠는 제바셰바디 개와디 곰네 공고네 공도 폐치도 네 소바 이해세지 가상가서 디콜 도시는 쉬바라.
Last week we looked at the verse which stated, wherein Shantideva stated his motivation behind presenting this text, the engaging in the Bodhisattva's way of life, which he said was, well, firstly, actually what I'm going to present here is not a self-creation. It's not something that is to be found outside of the sutras of the Buddha. Everything that I'm going to say here can be found within the sutras. And the reason, therefore, that I'm actually now going to be reciting this text, presenting this to you, is merely for my own betterment, so that I can accumulate virtue and strengthen my habituation to practices such as generosity, ethical restraint, patience, and so forth. Now, immediately turning to the text, to the start of the third verse, looking at the first two lines. Through these words, the power of my faith may only temporarily increase, but this will enable my acquaintance with virtuous ways.
아니 개화가르스네 대바당 상기에 미비 상기에 대비 대바당 아니 지게 잠니제 장쇼샘 안동유튜브에 셔라로서 봐 대비 기위 슉되게 아니 뭐 공대 표화레스 페루고레스 디 페비게 대비 슉세는 거 공대 표 뉴바스 데네게 뉴바 될라테네 아니 다기 레시 레시 페귤라스데 데니게 소수게 삼로 땅인데 삼당도 사도 내가 소설이야 개화권에 것도 피고래서 레시 페귤라서 내가 쓰고 레시라네 내가 소수기 개화권에 것도 피고래야지.
Through these words, the power of my faith may only temporarily increase, but this will enable my acquaintance with virtuous ways. So this links to what the preceding verse that we looked at last week, where the line immediately before this, I undertake this largely to acquaint it to my own mind. So here Shantideva is saying that this recitation that he's presenting, he's doing so as to accumulate virtue, but to strengthen his mind to virtuous ways of thinking, to strengthen minds such as love, compassion, and wisdom, and so forth, and thereby to accumulate vast stores of merit, all of which directed towards the attainment of his goal, to become a Buddha for the sake of others.
Rejik Pegulas Negap Susurange gave you more on your going to pay cheese. Mado Tadulia and Shen you don't know Sungo Res or other than Shula Carcos and Nega brings Sosugi, that's a Yama Susan Yaman Chisha, but some not down a magic share on the Kabla, and Sosugi somebody did Benedict Tango Gom Rodi, more competitive petro or Yayitu or competitive warriors. And the Ningbo did that, she had a pembichu some years or the Shula Disimore.
The word we see as temporary. So this we can understand, firstly, the explicit meaning that Shantideva is stating explicitly that his motivation is merely to accumulate merit, and this is just his temporary objective. But we can understand, because of his genuine motivation, that there'll be something beneath this, a motivation deeper than this. And thereby we can infer that he has an ultimate motivation, that this recitation will be of great benefit to others. So looking at it on the short term, the immediate, this is to accumulate virtue. But really, the actual meaning is to be of benefit to others.
Tajike Rantun Shengi Chidu Sumba Mayana, Janju Simbiki Chu Suya de Shandungi Chu Suba May, but Rantun Chidu Shava Sagura, Janju Simbiki, Yamlan Chago Marwa, Janju Simbiki Yamlan de, that Chu Sumba Karchibane, Shen Pembe Chu Sungorwa, Chesadi, Jessica Chimbiki, Janju Simbi, Taba Chimbi Chu, and Yamlan Jig, Rimba Sungu, Shen La Pembe Chu Sunguba, Anzuki, Dungi, some Davane, and Shen Pembe Chu Sunguba, the Sevushu Chagorwa.
So if we think of the heart objective, the heart purpose of Bodhisattvas, it is to benefit others in both temporary, but in particular in the ultimate way of leading them to enlightenment. So therefore, we know that everything Bodhisattvas do is directed to the benefit of others. Even if that benefit is short-term, their motivation will be thereby, through the short-term benefit, to benefit beings in the most important of ways. So if this is the case behind everything that Bodhisattvas do, so too when teaching the Dharma, and even more so when teaching the Dharma of the Mahayana. So thereby we can infer that Shantideva's deep motivation, his sincerest motivation, is to benefit others, and in particular to lead them to enlightenment.
Shengi Chidu Sunguyobade Dadi Din Masungora, Dadan Kawanyamba Shengi Yang Chidi Dida Tona De Gurus.
The next two lines. If, however, others also equal in fortune to myself should understand these words, they will find them meaningful.
Dadan Kawanyamba Sideda Dadan Kawanyama Da Sedi Kishola Chimokoro Sungorova Korongi Garin Yamlin Nangorasine, Jam Ninja Chanchu Sem, and as Persian Jugan Yamlin Sem Jatamju to San Yoko, Tobichu, the Chanju Sim Yukunia, de Persian Jugan Yamlin Nangor, in the Nangore, then Nayagi, that Dumbata, the Nigger Nangor, Jasa Dasa. Dada, me didn't know Jebanashi, Kawan Yamba, Yambala, the Jibasigur watches, and me Jebanashi, Tapachimbi Churgi, Daniel Yoba, Semja Tamjigu, San Yotopo. Tobi Chirdu, Kuno Janchu Sim Yukunia Langje, and the Yamlen Chicken Desolia, and the Pinky Pando Yunguri Ejereda, Desugi Chidu, Sumba Insorda, Dada, Kabanya by Shenji Yang said, Chesan, Chide Dida Tona, do you Kirsten, Dedagi, Tongjin, the Nigate Kansa Digi Tongje, and me Junju Tingisha, the Pa Tong Daje, Della Tursum Jedu, and the Consolia Pando Yunguri, San Yoko Tobi Chirdu, Pando Yunguri says. Niga, do you use it?
When Shantideva says, others also equal in fortune to myself, he's referring to those who also are training in their love and compassion, either developing bodhicitta or have already developed their love and compassion into bodhicitta, and are thereby engaging in the actual six perfections. But whichever class of practitioner, they share as a goal to become a Buddha for the sake of others. So those who are equal in fortune to himself, that for them, should they come into contact with these words, there will be great benefit. Because such practitioners, those who have as their heartfelt goal to become a Buddha for the sake of others, will want to encounter the Mahayana Dharma again and again so as to acquaint their own minds with it, develop their own virtuous minds, and progress ever closer to the attainment of the state of Buddhahood for the sake of others. So therefore, Shantideva has others in mind as he embarks on this epic recitation. So Shantideva here is referencing both those who have a generated bodhicitta as well as those who have a sincere aspiration to do so, those who are cultivating love and compassion, trying to develop it to the point where bodhicitta, where it transforms into bodhicitta itself. For both classes of practitioner, this text or this presentation that he's about to present or about to give will be of great benefit should they meet and understand it.
용요 말때 니 가르시고래 가르시기래 선배 그쵸 가르시기나 선배가 삼마땅 용한 디겔이야 아니 니마 최마 시야도 콘술이야 고용도 셈 미다바인자 콘셈도 유어조시그레스 셈 유어조시그 오다디 야고시기도 아딩오네 야고도와 선배기 되니 곧 제시시월에 침보데 배 야고 송도와 냠내 야고도와 선배기 데네기 데바키야당 아니 가서리 디니 최딩하지 냠는 제후도 선비게 듬버 주어 용을 쓰기래스 데니게 두어 듬버 주어 들어서 가사티리에 네디 셰디게 팽기레스 디 혼자시도 송이에스 거다.
So whilst we've been looking at this text now, this is our third week, we should keep in mind the setting that this recitation is being given in by recalling the biography that I mentioned in the very first class. So we remember that Shantideva now is before a large audience who have gathered to hear a teaching from him. So they have quite some interest. What is Shantideva about to say? So this is the environment that Shantideva finds himself in, that there's a large audience before him, and Shantideva knows they are wondering what is he about to share with them. So therefore, Shantideva is aware that he is presented with a great opportunity to help those before him who are listening intently to what he's about to say, to help them open their minds, transform their minds. So therefore, he's now, in these verses, he's encouraging his audience to listen attentively through generating their interest in what is about to come.
가사 간치 구구레스네 태바침비 최라 돈여기 듬버여바 매바여바 데니게 롭장 지에게 덤바도 돈여여바 까와여 한치 구구레 마도 태바침비 최라 매바다 안지 돈여기 듬바 매바들라 녜디 티도나로 순고 마르데스레 판도여 마레 손나 판도여 마레스 고르다 돈달라 순디스 판도여 마레스 지산다 최 태바침비 최 제도게 산조고봉 토비 치 토바 토보에 돈여기 듬바 유바디 톱지게 탑 람 냠랭이 림바 잠니제 찬슈선바 냠랭 제두기 돈여기 듬바 유간 까와디니기 유현지솔야 판도 용거래 디치도 순구유에서지 순고도 나니보지 순고 다 준주기 냠랭지간 가사들라 간치 고그레스 태발침be 쳐라 돈여기 유바 메바 유바 디 냠랭지 돈여기 듬바 유바 디니 고그레스 디니 판도 용거래에서 올때니지
This here Shantideva is making clear who his intended audience are, and by default, those who are not. So they are those who are of great fortune, those who have an interest to either newly cultivate or strengthen the paths of a bodhisattva in their continuum. These are his intended audience. Those who have no interest in the Mahayana, then such a text is not for them. They lack the fortune of those who do aspire to either newly generate or to strengthen the paths of the Mahayana within themselves. So therefore, the text engaging in the Bodhisattva's way of life, it has as its intended audience those who aspire to become a Buddha for the sake of others.
어디에 자기서 지원을 준비 주주 성야디 지난 현례 팬비기 현디냐 준주디 퇴디들 퇴바제 퇴비기 된들라 안 된들라 삼바제데 공발에데 타라산 요고바 퇴비 치도 송바르와 송반자 심전 탐제 코유 동아를 저제 타르투 산요고바 퇴비 치 송바른자 델야 자와 심전 데니게 동아라 자나 년비기 자와던 혼술의 띵이 대화도 톱나 선비기 잠바 잠바다 제일 원기 다 준주의 송화의 결과래.
Shantideva has as a motivation that through presenting this teaching, that those who both immediately hear this teaching as well as those in the future who come to hear it, that they all not only hear the teaching but also reflect and then meditate on it, because it's through this process of encountering a teaching such as this, reflecting and meditating on it, that they will give rise to the paths of a bodhisattva within them and progress rapidly towards the attainment of Buddhahood for the sake of others. This is his objective. So therefore, with a motivation of love and compassion for suffering sentient beings, he presents this text.
당한적이 가라 하고 우들라네 다 제스지와라 침비 주주 소마디 내가 소소라는 게 녀마 지게 잠니제 전주쌤 동방년로 또 비셔라라 소바 냠len 제샤바디 소수기도 진마 시할마 송어도 소소 삼나로 고고와 방문이 제 특허도 되는 송도 소수기 되는게 냠len 림바도 공배도 시 내가 공배도 조회 치를 인스 다 타로도나 셴 잠니제 장주semля 산조고마 토비주 돈유기 듬보여바 잠니제 장주sem 냠렌제 돈유기 듬보여되게 대솔이야 팬비치도 소와 인사지 너나디 송거로바다 너네 수두제바나 타도디 잠니제 장주sem 산조고마 토비주도 태과치면 철라 메바여바 디 냠렌제 듬보여바 안데수기 체도 소와 인사.
So what we should take from this is that we should follow Shantideva's example, taking these. So we should, as mentioned previously, take the teachings as personal instruction, and therefore we should follow Shantideva's motivation. That on the temporary level, right now, we should receive these teachings so as to cultivate and strengthen our own love, compassion, and wisdom. So that's our short-term goal, and we should be holding as our long-term or final goal that we, through these teachings, hearing them, reflecting and meditating on them now and going forward, that our love, compassion, and wisdom develops to the point where we become bodhisattvas ourselves and thereafter strengthen the paths of a bodhisattva within us, progressing towards Buddhahood for the sake of all others. So this is how we should take the example of Shantideva and follow it ourselves.
캡산 레아로지 가르쳐 오래 세팅 알아서 삼다 가르당 고래란다 단 예수 지와라 침배 되는 내가 알아서 가르당 고래세 다 예수 지와라 침배 준주 숭바데 내가 그런 게 개위 냠내데 공부에 투치와서 숭바를 와서 되는 인자당 알아서 이내 산제 타바다 산제 고방 토바라 안주 유예 개위 삼로데 뭐요 공내 공도 패도 땅 고구도 와서 가서 이제 지와라 침배 공부에 투치도 난교에나 안주다 인데 인체사 되네서 아주 개위 자와되게 땅 아주 개위 삼로다 지게 태바침에 취해 냠는 제게 듬바더니 듬바지게 뭐 권내고도 땅고도 세 근데 이게 되네 지게 태바침에 취해 냠는 잠니 제 자주 셈이야 냠는 제야다 개위기 자와 강 두기야 선배게 다 삼로시 땅고 지 삼로시 가서 뒤땅고 그래
So again, I encourage you to take all these teachings as personal advice and follow the example, the exemplary example of Shantideva. Just like him, we should receive these teachings and engage in reflecting and meditating on them with this understanding that by doing so, our virtuous minds will grow. To whatever extent we have love and compassion and wisdom and the other virtuous minds within us, these will all grow in dependence on hearing, reflecting, and meditating on these teachings. So call this to mind again and again, generating an attitude that is enthusiastic for hearing these teachings and to reflect and meditate on them, knowing that we'll strengthen our virtuous minds, and by doing so repeatedly, we'll strengthen them to the point where we ourselves are counted amongst bodhisattvas.
다단 가완년배 현재장 지대디다 통나 되어 주로서도 장주 산제 코반 토바드베 되니 듬바 여겐 잠니제 타와 침베기냐 냠랭제 듬바 되니 듬바 여바 타바 침베처럼 매바 여겐 제솔야 숭구에 세세 송와인자 다디 제서 지와래 침비 만주된다 송샤 선배 소솔야 마한솔야 당아조 마 산지의 고방 특별치도 띵지 코르 동아 타다를 되지 띵지 대화 타도 산지의 고방 특별치도 니 냠는지 타백에 탑람디 제세시와라 치면 알로 송바레샤스 제가 다디 송바디 알려 투 제외 관계 한 잠바단 제외 관계 송바레스 제가 디네 인자 제게 제세시와라 침바디 베 마시 만줄야 그린 침보지다 베 마시 랍친 시우지레 판도 침보리야 선배게 제세시와라 침베게 야 안에 대바 지지도 기야당 냥줄디네 송한자 제스시월이시면 끝인 냥줄에 끝인 침보리에서 제스시월이시면 끝인 제수제야다 내가 대바지야 다 제스시월이시면 냥줄이야 대바침비 취년는지기 림바도 송바데 다가랑이 무디시 냠는지 무디시 산요고 마토 바데 냠는지 투바디 제이야 선배기 냥줄이 삼로된데 땅나 땅고거다
What I was mentioned in the previous segment was in relation to the first two lines of the verse, and now how we should receive the second two lines or relate to the second two lines is recognizing that this is the text composed by Shantideva, one of the great beings, and he composed this text, presented it orally for the sake of suffering mother beings, but in particular for those who are yearning to become bodhisattvas themselves, or who already are bodhisattvas and are striving for Buddhahood. So he taught this from a tender heart, with love and compassion for sentient beings. No matter what state they're in, recognizing that they have yet to attain enlightenment, Shantideva taught with love and compassion for them, for us. So this, with this understanding that this text has come from his tender heart, for us, we should receive this and count ourselves amongst the fortunate who, to our varying degrees, we all aspire to become Buddhas for the sake of others. So therefore, set the determination to receive these teachings and to reflect and meditate on them with the determination that I myself will fulfill Shantideva's heartfelt wish and I will become a bodhisattva for the sake of others.
데니게다 민간주게 데니게 식시되게 퇴제 삼로된 다외나 땅토외나 다외나 소소규래야 즉 다디디 예수시월의 침비게 끝인 지수tem바 삼다나 개와와 안에 게스지월의 침버디 안직 대바제바나 안저 개와래 다 게스지월의 침부 손셰베기 델리아 무디중에 산조고 뭐 토비주는 냐면 지금 선비기 삼다이던 안저 전주기 돕게다 전주기 덤바둥이 기고데 제소에 개와래 제사다 게스지월의 침부기 소수기 개와 공비 치료도 손바나징이야 랑기 냠능이 짐바디 개와딩 관계 고도 폐두에게 제 배수 지기에 선배 삼다 지수차상 안주리 개화 차용을 지사 내니게 삼로 따베나 안주 삼리디 두스체네 차르직 다니다 되네 땅베 땅토베나 땅아주 셈발 셈리아 요주고랑 안주 삼로데 개위 초리아 요주고로와 지사 되네자 땅아주기 게시요발의 챔피언 송비기 송디기 진랍딩 안주 리고르 진랍세도 송델라 되는 안주 셈디 개위 초리아 규르투바 규르구에나 진일라바 제고래 지사 되네 현사디 개와사고래 진일라고래
If you approach not just this teaching, but all these teachings in this way, you will receive the blessings from Shantideva himself. What does it mean then to receive blessings from Shantideva himself? It means that by receiving the series of teachings, doing so in the manner that I'm encouraging you here, you will continuously recall his kindness for having trained for so long to develop these good qualities within himself and then to readily share it with others, countless beings from then to now who have benefited from this remarkable text. Recalling his kindness in this way is a virtuous mind. It leads to the accumulation of virtue. That is receiving the blessing of Shantideva. So too is generating a determination that I will strive, I will persevere, overcome all obstacles to ensure that I become a bodhisattva in this life and I progress rapidly to the state of Buddhahood for the sake of others. This too is a virtuous mind. It too is coming in this context, and thereby one is receiving the blessings of Shantideva. So cultivating a courageous heart, a strength of mind that I will strive tirelessly to cultivate all the good qualities of the paths of the bodhisattva in my own continuum and become a bodhisattva in this very life. Thinking like this again and again cultivates virtue. And this cultivation of virtue in relation to this teaching from Shantideva is how you will receive the blessings of Shantideva.
나데네 디엔젤이야 아니 제시지발의 침비기 아니 차차와지당 최고저바 너 좀버 담자와 세디 엔디네기 바 두스진 차와래.
Now in these verses I've presented the introduction to the text, where there was a homage and salutation and the promise to compose, as well as stating the purpose of the text. So this then is the conclusion of the introduction to the main body of the text. So now we come to the actual body of the text, which will lay out the stages of training of a bodhisattva. The first chapter of this text is on the benefits of the mind of bodhicitta.
배낭하는 중에 pension의 연대는 시골 와면 잘라들 키셔되는 연대는 여러 세대 하는 잘라디 오다딩할 고고 셈비게 디라야게 되녀기 두바기 거와 세상으로 총을 마소나 총을 내지는 캡사딘데 여러 캡사디 봐 연대는 캡사디 봐셔도 되는 아디 캡사디 돈돈 열제 총디기 제게 자활로 주고로 와 어디나셔 나와 자주 셈세데 되는 시대 디 pension인데 여러에서 자주신이 뭐다 편연되게 파시야도 어디 되네게 연대나 편연되는 시연다 어디나 냠는 인지 미징한 냠는 제고도 새벽에 다 되네게 냠는 제가 돈이 듬바디 계획이 되나라 담보 앉으셨으면 편연되시 거래지.
Way to think about the benefits this word benefits, we can understand also as the profit or the benefits of engaging in a particular activity. Or another way would be the good qualities. If you recognize the good qualities within something, you will see the benefits that will come by you attaining it, or the profit to yourself by attaining it. So this is how it works in our everyday life, and certainly here. Because it's through recognizing the great benefits that will come to one through generating bodhicitta within oneself, that one will give rise to a strong but also joyful desire to come to give rise to bodhicitta oneself, to strive to generate it within oneself.
Nga zoge ma songtang da rinpa tang duen le ya nyamlingi rinpa dike songtang neso ti kaa yunga ma songbi kabla kable ya jebu di nye la maa she dene di tobya ke tablam dike je le shaa de songbi rinpa re da mwene kiwi rinpa che na jebu dike gyu di nye la nga zoge nyamlin gyu li paa kye de nyamlin gyu dike nye le kye dene di je le ya jebu dike war bene janju sem kye gyu di 다들 가르친 장수승이 파연식으로와 파연시에서 장수승이 되네시 디토발라 잠니지 공고를 에세식으로와 규디기 제일식으로와 냠는 제베갑라 잠니지 규디기 잠바디 니지 규리게 되네시 제라 한 장수승 규리게 오자고래 기회 좀 봤어야 돼 되네래 아이시 송베 좀 봤어야 돼 당보 제보디시 되네 규디 마시야 돼 되네 송다다 기회 좀 받는 용고래.
There's actually a difference between how a text is taught or presented and how the topic of that text is practiced. When a text is presented or a topic is taught, first the result is presented. Thereafter, the method to achieve that result is presented. And it is done so first with the result, so that the audience can be aware of the great benefits, the purpose for engaging in the method, although they have yet to hear the method. So first the aspiration, the desire is generated within oneself. Then one is earnest about hearing the method because now one wants to apply it to one's own mind. But in terms of the way something is presented for a practitioner, first the causes, and only thereafter the result is presented. In other words, first the various stages of training in order to achieve the desired goal. So in terms of here, in the context of bodhicitta, first what would otherwise be presented is how to cultivate love and compassion, because these are the causes that lead to the generation of bodhicitta. But to give rise to the determination to engage in the method, then first the result is presented, so as to give rise to a yearning, a sincere aspiration to hear the method and engage in developing the method within oneself.
Tene kivu chimpe la mirimba sechi sungurwa, na dina shen chibare da nga zuge di kausu shebe na nga zu nyamlen gana che na dine chimba chin chogo ma da chimba ma chowa nyamlen che yagi chago ma re. Dine di na shen lemrin de somba na shen re, chunju kausu tyaba chimpe ki chugi nyamlen sheba la di yan la la nye la kivu chunye la mirimba da jingi la mirimba ni de dorto shi sungore, di yan la ya sungore.
Second point to make, you'll all be familiar with the sequence of training that is utilized in the Lamrim tradition. So there first are the practices which are shared with the practitioner of initial capacity. Thereafter, the trainings that are shared with the practitioner of intermediate capacity. And then finally, the trainings which are unique to a practitioner of greatest capacity. So here, this is a text of the Mahayana Dharma. These are trainings for a practitioner of greatest capacity. But in the preliminary, in the introductory chapters, the trainings which are shared with practitioners of initial and intermediate capacity are included as branches or as limbs to the main body of practice, which is trainings for a practitioner of greatest capacity.
캬바치미 추념네 제두고 근데 된 캬바치 고바인자 된 캬바치 하다 미고방 더 문두의 캬바치 된 캬바치 용고래 디된라 캬바치미 추념네 제고래지 되니기 된 캬바치인지 토야라 탑람 냠네 제리마디 디제고래서 용고로와 숨고로와.
So firstly, the presentation that serves to make us recognize what incredible opportunity we all have attained, that we have attained this basis, this human life, upon which we can cultivate bodhicitta within our own continuum, an opportunity that comes with such a life, making it possible. And without a human basis such as this, progress or the generation of bodhicitta is so difficult that it could be said to be impossible. So therefore, as a limb that enables the initial generation of bodhicitta, one looks at this preciousness of our human rebirth. Looking at the fourth verse, these freedoms and endowments so difficult to attain can fulfill the purpose of beings. If I do not accomplish this life's potential, when could such an excellent opportunity be achieved again?
장윤이제 전주 심라서바게 진바 지소파지르기 냠내지기 된 약쇼데 달주기 된 세들이 해지고다 달주기 된 세들이 달주기 된데 냠내지에게다 띵이 나네 약쇼들이 해서.
To generate bodhicitta in our own continuums, us ourselves, we have to generate love and compassion as well as varying other practices such as generosity and ethics and so forth. So to be able to cultivate the minds of the Mahayana Dharma within ourselves, the very best, the supreme basis for such training is a human life.
미곤바 제랍데 데술려 취제고 고브라고 말해서 그렇다. 근데 냐와이다 dun조람데 개반 데술려 취제고 고브야 말해서. 진짜 록다로 기대변에 취제고 고브라고 말해서. 근데 지금 오모 맞춰봐이네 취제고 고브야 말해서. 유 타고질이 기대변에 취제고 고브야 말해서. 제가 데술려 기내 취제고 고브라고 말해서. 뒤수요 말해서 그렇다. 지사단 디솔레 마게와 쟁아주 미류 된디기 깨야되라 원보 창와 차상 안지기 록다 마게와 원보 창와 된디기 기회되 바인사 아니 아주 류텐디 당한 다와 달조레스 미콘바 게단 대비 류텐디에서 그러다 지산 델이야 아주 참아치면 취신 냠는 제 고급 요래서 그래.
So looking at this term, freedom, these freedoms and endowments, the term freedom is also often translated as leisure. So it refers to having time. So whilst our lives may seem busy, the Dharma shows us that actually we have a lot of freedom. We have leisure time because we have 8 freedoms, or we are free from being in 8 states where we would have no leisure. So these 8 would be born in any of the lower realms, such as being in hell, or as a spirit, or as an animal, or being born as a long life god, or being born in a border country, a place where there is no fully assembled Dharma, or a place where there is no Dharma at all, or having wrong views, or impaired faculties, physical or mental faculties, that impede one from having the leisure or the freedom from being able to engage in cultivating the minds of the Dharma within ourselves. And the second term is endowments, also often translated, as we have in the final line, as opportunities. So these are a further 10, and together, the 8 and the 10, the freedoms and endowments, make 18. These are good qualities that are required in order for someone to be able to engage wholeheartedly in cultivating the Dharma within themselves, and these we all have.
Samnatayake namjue tan beju tan be mase yagoyo bache namjue beju tan wa digi kinchine ngazu lyugi jawa karena je tugoyo badi je ji yoba enza da lyudin kyabar janse di chegorwa bene 저게 쇼고요 말에된 쇼고 맨날 남을 풀어요 말와 풀두 말와 이내 아주 미 lyudin 될게 남주에 남주에 베주당 남주에 베주던 lyud이 파지 쇠진 넘주 쇠진 배 남나요 풀지는 파 자합 편순 다른 거 조투야다 다다위 종제 강로 조투야로 줘야다 是민수의 투고마도 신 민마인 베게 둔조당 냐와이다 둔조바다 지수기 쇠투야 미요말 메로와 당하지 밀리아 직 야수 월마 조야기 차상 남주 베주 당전에 아직 베주당한 lyudi 계속마 추딩가지 딩릉부에다 되는 마 조투야 사월로 조투야 남리아 풀투야 아니 진 수불에 내 나스로 쇼베네 빼직 산남주 베주 다진는 직바 수부에 나즈디에 파도 고 유야당 창면에 현대 계시 수조야라서 봐 차사 베주된 아주 미류된디기 때는 남주 베주의 미류된디기 지투고마도 냐와이다 둔로라 되는 지투야 메래 제가 되네자 아주 미류된들라 차와여나 차와서보이나 대송급 장모서야다. 장모시고 주변은 대래 송급 차와서야다. 차상 안주기 미 배주에 당지 쇠투고래. 진짜 되네 삼다나 안주기 미 류된디 빼마시게 즉시 오지 배주에 당 투변 지게 삼로 다에 되게 삼로 당만 나신기 류기 자와제신 시오 되나 줍투겐 디 당아주 미 류된 임바딩 안주기 통추스기 바냐와데 이 둔라서 바데니기 요르데 되네기 저 투매방 안지게 투고요 바데 세우시우징 안주게 라쳐야 차도고도와
So amongst these 18 qualities, if we were to condense it down, we could really point to this remarkable intelligence that human beings have. We have such freedom because of our intelligence. We have so many opportunities because of our intelligence. For example, human beings, we don't have wings, yet due to our intelligence, we can fly in machines that we have constructed. What other being can do that? Likewise, we cannot breathe under water, but because of our intelligence, we can dive under the water in machines or with a diving apparatus. What other being can create this? Also, with our intelligence, we can go deep into the earth in incredibly deep mines. We can go up into outer space. What other being can do that? And likewise, with all the challenges of climate in our world, because of our intelligence, humans can live in very hot climates, right to the other extreme of extremely cold climates. No other being can do this. But because of this remarkable intelligence that humans have, we have freedom and so many opportunities.
denegi danjugi denegi 개발자자 된 개발자자 될이야 만주기 개와치마 하다 미고방 토액이 탑시 배주당에 된들레 배주당 두고래 아니 제가 코유 동아 타다를 treje 타바 토에 이내 맞아 땡델이야 줍두고 그래 지나다 땡델라 산지 요고방 토에게 냠내지 제베네 땡델을 줍두고 그래 되는자 대슈이 땡디 개와치말 하다미고 토야기 탑람 쳐선 줍두고 그래 산지 타바 타비고방 토비기 땡기 대와 타바고방 토이지 탑람 줍두고 그래 샘제 탐지기도 산지 요고방 토비 쳐도 탑람디야 류딘 대주기 된 류딘 델을 줍두고 얼마도 류딘 딜레신 단야와다 이다 쥐든절라서 비기 디지털 줍투야 매봐서 되니게 대주기 된 디페 마세기다 지게 예침보지나 짜침보 휴시리에서 그러다.
Because of this incredible intelligence we have as human beings, we can come to understand the causes required and accumulate those causes to ensure that we achieve a good rebirth in our next life. Not only that, we can come to understand what the causes are and accumulate them to progress well towards abandoning the afflictions together with their seeds and thereby attain liberation from samsara in its entirety. And moreover, we can come to understand what the causes are and accumulate them to make extensive progress towards attaining Buddhahood for the sake of others. All of this is within our capacity because we have this remarkable human rebirth with this incredible intelligence. This is something that no other being can do.
ngāngzhūgī lūdhēn dē, dāngzhūgī lūdhēn rē dē, ngāngzhūgī zā chīmbō yīmbā dā hāgō mātū bācē, ngāngzhūgī nīsū jīg chūngchūng jīg liyā bēchē dāngzhē, ān dūsū chōlā dāngā sō chāgō rē, jēsā ngāngzhūgī dēn dē liyā, dēnēgī gyāwā chīmbā lādā mīyō gōbāng tōp tuyō nūbā yōbā, 탐지 캠에 탈비오 고방도 뉴버 여바 안에지 산지오 고방 토비 치르도 냠는 집에 제투에 뉴버 여바디 맞아 하 먹어래 제가 되니게 뉴버 여래 되니지 투그레 했으면 뭐저 제어도 맞아 땡텔이야 되니게 냠는 제기 다 듬바다 되냐래지 냠는 제기 돈달이야 안에 뭐저 숨고래 돈달래
The purpose of this meditation is for us to come to recognize the incredible potential of this life that we have attained. Because the vast majority of those who have a human life do not recognize this incredible potential that they hold within their hands. And thereby, most people, and perhaps ourselves up to this point, have lived just a very ordinary life of no real significance. But here we are being urged to change this, to look at what we have achieved and its incredible potential, and to really recognize the potential so as to live a life of great meaning.
Denige da juge tendi denige za chimbo shu chires ina da nyebar shindu gas ti toya le ya kale khawo res nyebar shindu gawares nyebar shindu gawares nyebar shindu gas ti raya le dan chu lüdin toya le ya pe kale khawo ni shi pe shi ra kale khawo res
We recognize through reflection the great potential that comes with this rebirth, and thereby it is so precious. But it's not something to take for granted, not something not to value highly, because it is so very difficult to attain.
Never shindu gas. Go gimzen lamna, says that Danju Ludin Tobiali, Tobiali, Shindu Gale Kabore Helare, Shindu Gale Kabo Gimzen Garelane, Di Toya Gusabala, Gusaya Galekabores, Gudisaya Galekaborinza, and Toya Galekabores. Gusaya Galekabodi Garela, Surum Suya Galekabores. Cesar Luma is in Yeju, Surum Sungo, Surum Suya di Ludindire, Militoya Gude, Surum Sung Digala, Jimbalo Sopege, Jimbada Sebalo Sopa, and it Yamne Yoba. And the Digala, Malam Dimabi, some Javach Gore, you and the Surum Nambataba, Delia, Jimbalo Sopi, George, and the Gasori, Molam Yadava Tabachiku, Tabashkugure, Molam Dimami, some Javas, Molam Tabashkugure. Just that in the Dick Usai de Galekapoenza, Devota Julie to a Galekapore, and Usai Galakores.
Why is a rebirth such as this, a precious human rebirth, difficult to attain? The primary reason is to reflect on the causes that lead to a result of a rebirth such as we have all achieved. These causes are difficult to acquire, difficult to gather all the causes that are required to lead to a rebirth such as what we have all attained. Firstly, to be born as a human being, one has to develop, cultivate the cause of ethics, ethical restraint, where we restrain our physical behavior, we restrain our speech, and we restrain our mind, restrain from acting in an unethical way. This is the first cause that is required, the primary cause, the principal cause, and it is difficult to accumulate. Secondly, one also needs to accumulate further causes, namely those of generosity, patience, and make stainless prayers. These are all difficult to also engage in. And this collection is required in order to bring about a rebirth such as what we have achieved.
안디네 자당은 저기 된중이 밀로티비 규디 가래 규를 가르사고 그래 나는 개와치마 양한서 다데 된중이를 개와치마야 된중이 밀로기 토야리야 나땡한서 규 가르사고 그래 나는 용아 이순 예주되면 수름송 되네 짐바다야도 서바고미야라 서바다 안디 이제네 안에게서 지금 몰람 자고 그래서 개와 치마나서야 안디니기 된상보 토비기 토벌쇼 세비기 몰람 자고 그래서 디 닝한 저기 되는 제투바 있나 개와치마 단지 밀로티비 규사고레스 지산디 사고레시름.
Here, it's those of us who are now aspire to generate the paths of a bodhisattva within us. We recognize the need to have good rebirth after good rebirth after good rebirth, to both utilize this life well, what remains of it, as well as to ensure we have a stream of good rebirths ahead of us. So therefore, in order to generate bodhicitta and progress along the bodhisattva paths, it is essential that we accumulate these causes. And they are, again, ethical restraint, generosity, patience, and stainless prayers. All of these are required so that we can continue our spiritual development for the good of others.
denji milu tibi gyudi tine sheye sajun, chizan toya ikishindo kalya khabore, karsan gyudi kalya khabore sheye. Da dine, kibi duen drup seda, chizan kibi duen drup seda shire da deshin hanzuke soya de, chizan denjuki, denzan denjuki milu topa na, dedile kibi duen drup tubure es, hanzuke duen kibu suna kansa, debi duen de karela de digi dirwa, digi re, digi dele negab digi lada miyu kopan topna, nyawa ida dunrula dine hanzu digi chagarab chegwara. 라다 미고바 도야 되래. 다 데레 다 라다 미고바 도나 데레야 둥아 요래 안 나세 요래 둥아 요래. 다 띵기 대와 토야 돼 가서는 탈비고바 녀모바 사바나 제바 빵비 빵바 탈바 토소나 띵기 대와 토고르지 기비 되비된 직체. 다 데레야 안에 탈비고바 토바레 셈전 탐지게 된다려 산지고바 토바디 토바디에 기비 되된. 지산 기비 되든 세당 아주 디기 데레 내가 탈바다 라다 미고바 토야다 탈비고바 토야 탈투 하는 산요고바 토야 디레 기비 되는 디레스 제산 디 된다디 덴델 양아 저기 베스시 주반 줍투고레 개와시 말 라다 미고바 토야 귀델 덴델 줍투고레 탈비고바데 덴델 줍투고레 산요고바 토야다 덴델 줍투고레스 기비 되는 줍사지.
In the first line we come to see that this precious human rebirth that we've achieved, marked by these 8 freedoms and 10 endowments, is difficult to attain because the causes that are required, they are difficult to accumulate all of them to sufficient strength. And the second line can fulfill the purpose of beings. What is then the purpose of beings? A one-word answer will be a life of happiness. And happiness, there are 2 types, that which is temporary and that which is lasting or ultimate. Temporary happiness is the happiness that comes with a good rebirth, a happiness where one does not fall into the lower realms. The happiness that is lasting is a happiness that we can also strive towards attaining, either the happiness of liberation, which is a complete freedom from the afflictions and the seeds and their seeds, and thereby a state of lasting happiness, or even rebirth. Even enlightenment. Enlightenment is the state where one's own happiness is developed to the fullest extent, but most importantly, can be of greatest benefit to others. So these goals of temporary happiness, of a good rebirth, as well as the ultimate happiness of liberation and enlightenment, these can all be either attained or make great strides towards the achievement of, can be achieved on this basis of a precious human rebirth.
토벌 규발라 다당한줄로 톱 요래서 토벌 규발라 다당한줄로 톱 요래서 그러다 토벌 규발라.
Looking at this line can fulfill the purpose of beings. So this doesn't just express what can be done with this life, but it includes in here that we have the potential to do this. We have the potential to bring about the causes that will lead to good rebirth after good rebirth, as well as to accumulate the causes that will lead to the progression towards liberation, as well as the accumulation of causes that will lead to enlightenment. All of this is within our hands because we have achieved this basis of a precious human rebirth.
저기 전주쌤 다는 태바침비 취에 냠는 제발라 된 개발제 단주기 밀리는 버치도 약속을 디된 개발제인데스 되네게 된디 배 직신도네 자 침보래 톱가와레스 그래서 톱야가와 임베디 디 톱야 유사야 될라 갈래가버레스 제가 되네자 된디 톱아이나 아주기 된델라 되네 기비기 탈바다 탐제kimbe 고바다 개와체말 하다 미고바다 제가 딘딜을 좀 두고 와래 제가 다딩 안주 류딘디 디딘 개바진에 차도요래 제가 딘디기 딘 개바진 다딩 안주를 요래스 진에 예배 링델라 당안주기 딘디기 냠는 시야를 배주시야를 야 개침을 배주 제고래 세대 다 딘디기 제고래서 꾸마지고다 송고다 나디.
So here, receive this teaching as encouragement from Shantideva himself, saying to us, you have this incredible basis, the very best basis, this human rebirth, the very best of basis for cultivating the actual Mahayana Dharma in your own continuum. In other words, you have the basis to become a Bodhisattva in this very life. But such a basis as this, don't take for granted. It is difficult to attain because the causes are so difficult to accumulate. Recognize the value of what you've attained. The ideal basis to ensure good rebirth after good rebirth, as well as the basis to attain liberation, but most importantly, the basis to generate bodhicitta and to strive and progress towards becoming a Buddha for the sake of others. This is something that you have achieved. Recognize this, value it, do not let it go to waste.
갈데 딜라 펜바 마rum나 시대 양다 조와 갈아주르스. 제가 다다가 저게 단주 리딩이 톱대 여바 텔야 저게 냠는 제제 배주 시신 냠는 제고 그래 마도 갈데 딜라 펜바 마rum나선 세델라 톱대와 여바 텔야 먼저 배주 마다하지 안개와 치말 하다 미고 봐 토야기 제도에 아니 탑시 맞지 탈바다 탐지기며 고마 토비치 냠는 맞아 봐이나 아니 마rum나 되니기 갈데 딜라 펜바 마rum나 다데 세델라 되니기 리든 톱대비 값 텔야 만주게 냠는지 맞아 봐이나 시고래 맞아 봐이나 아니 치대 양도 좋아 갈아주로 세대 세델야 되니기 개와 치말 하다 미고 봐 토야기 규마사 봐이나 데 치말이야 신의 양자 토야디 갈아가 버려 치디 양다 좋아 갈아주로 세대 치말이야 되니기 토야를 갈아가 버려 지난 갈아가고 인자 치말에 되네 마토나 되니기 냠는지에 고합디 쇼고래 시래 거부라고 말했어.
And the verse concludes, if I do not accomplish this life's potential, when could such an excellent opportunity be achieved again? So we are being so clearly urged to contemplate our good situation, this incredible situation we have, because whilst our life may seem far from perfect, we do have excellent circumstances to cultivate the mind of a bodhisattva within ourselves, for ourselves to be included amongst the bodhisattvas. And such an opportunity as this, if I let it go to waste, if I let whatever remains of this life go to waste, how can I hope to get such an opportunity again? Those causes are difficult to acquire. I must utilize what remains of this life well, because now I recognize I have the opportunity to cultivate the minds of a bodhisattva myself. And therefore, I must make best use of what remains of this precious opportunity.
안디네 자다 줄이야 tel이야 최지에게 냠버고 어디니 지오레서 마가 나와나신 땅아 주기도 신에 삼다에 다오다 디링 되니게 네 아주기 되겠시와라 침페게 안줄려도 스모제 나데 뭐냐라 삼다나 덴바레샤 셈비게 소소기 리딘 tel야다 단주 밀토르베 마서 자침보지나 제침보 슈지레도 셈베베 하고레샤 셈베딘데 토바디 하고레샤 셈베게 가와콤 지사다 디딘델야이 강도르기 인께와치마 하다 라트비타바다 탐지kim보고 와토야게 탑람다지 비지지 셈베이다 지긴 셈베 삼다디 차고 당고고르바 디기간 쪽에 대하 셈리아 두시나 삼다리
Hear this teaching. Recognize the truth of what Shantideva is saying. Recognize to yourself that Shantideva, what Shantideva is saying is true, is correct. And recognize this. And through recognizing this, a great joy should arise in one's mind at recognizing our great fortune, that we are counted amongst the incredibly fortunate. And this is an opportunity not to let to go to waste, because what remains of this life is brief and is fading. None of us knows for certain what will happen next. Therefore, commit to utilizing what remains of this life well, and in particular, to cultivating the mind of the Mahayana, bodhicitta, within ourselves, keeping the aspiration of a bodhisattva foremost in our mind.
최 냠len 상지요 고방 토비 치르도 안잠니제 전주 셈비 냠len 제레 땡캬발 단주리딘데 레도아 셈베게 디네자 땅에 몽바이네야 데니게 토비에 치르도 유부주기 셈베게 셈제 탐제 상지요 고방 토비 치르도 타바침비게 잠니제 전주 셈 냠len제 땡캬발진데 몽바네이나 토비하게 된다 양이 주름숭이 설령아 26권에 시안레야 네비게 자와 자와기네 지금이야 셈베게 당한도 두시나 삼다바이나 안추름송아 lunga 26가 시안레 네비 지금에 셈베 삼다바이나 추름송아 추름 삼다 안델야 디뇽도 안 시안기 네바 제바다 데니게 가리 지네 셈 맞추바지 텔레파 안지 지금 초비에 셈 맞게바지 봐 세보금 고기야 셈베 세보금야다 난기 류롱제 안에 개와 사바치 샹리아 안지 팬비치도 샹리아 패리 샹리 당기 셈비게 온두치네 삼다 당은 디네 삼다 디네게 삼다에 대 제들다 타마딜랑 저기 주시되 안에 아당이 디네게 개와 사샤바 텔라티네 개와 치마이네야 태바침비 취념내 제기 댄상보 단주미르림보지 토벌쇼 셈비게 니 개와 사바디 디네 토비 규규와쇼 토벌쇼 셈비게 두치네 삼다에나 당은 저 개와 치마게 라다미고바 댄주 단주미르림보 토비 규사고래 진짜 디삼당와데 게침을 자고 디네 삼다에디 저게 지게 주제 체가 지ring을 두스체네 소소라 안도셰 되제 디네 삼다나 당토베네레 네 니미치리아 살가제 망아 당토베네 예 안에 진인레 니레라 안지 차르르 무디시 당토베네 안에 지 고네 페주고로 아제 디네게 당토야데 게침을 자고래
through this verse then, come to recognize what we each have attained. Recognize that this life was difficult to attain, but this life has such great value. Reflect on this again and again to generate a joy at what we've achieved, as well as the determination not to let it go to waste. So there's the cultivation of both a joy at recognition at what we've achieved and its great potential. This will lead to us easily being able to prioritize what we value and put our time and our mental energy into cultivating the causes that are essential for ensuring our ongoing spiritual development. In particular, as we've heard, is ethical restraint, the determination not to harm others. Not to harm others through our physical behavior, our way of speaking, or even our way of thinking. This is an essential cause. Also the cause of patience. The mind that's based in love and compassion for others stays calm in the face of adversity. And thirdly, the mind of generosity, the wish to give of ourselves, perhaps materially, perhaps our time, certainly the giving of our virtue for others, recognizing that we're trying to become bodhisattvas, generate bodhicitta within us. So this virtue we're accumulating, we do so for others. May others benefit from the virtue I'm accumulating. And then in addition to the causes of ethics, generosity, and patience, one makes heartfelt, sincere prayers for ongoing opportunity, life after life, on the basis of ongoing good rebirths, to meet the Mahayana Dharma, meet our spiritual teachers, and continue our spiritual development, quickly becoming a bodhisattva and a Buddha for the sake of others. So I encourage you, do this meditation for 30 minutes every day. Remind yourself of it during the day, ever so briefly, several times. And do meditate like this then, repeatedly over a sustained period. Sometimes, when your time allows, meditate for longer than 30 minutes, or more than once in a day. If you do so, like this, repeatedly over a sustained period, I assure you, transformation will come. Transformation will follow.
군다 여사다 최강로지 인고야서 말에 중난에 야고래 매나 나가서 바지 참점로데 갑리야 되네기 직들려지랴 삼노 콜송베네 되네기 내가 다가 뒤스되지네 바 지금 르르 삼다주로 니멤베게 레가로 지나네 바라들어 뒤스르 르르라지 중베네 엔디네 삼다주로 되네 삼다디 갑리 베나가지기 도스네 참장로제 사지 롱야보 여사 쿠심심지레 레서네 안델레 주스되지네 소소기 듄들이야 안에 상계단 전주선바 랑게 라마디게 찾아유 선배 매바디제 내려야 대바제지도 제 삼나시다 안디네 안디링 당의 된 류된电상보 토대배 마세 야고야 제왕아마게 개와사베 제부인 선배게 소소기 류된 개발전 토바들이야 그 가와주고 다 디링의 된들이야 안지게 안에 주제마다 와지 된들이야 계획자와 잠니제 전주선배 냠는디게 된들이야 제도가 지에 산조고바 토베주 규사도바지야 선배게 매바 삼나시다 되네 대자당의 류가 26권에 샬리아 뇌배자와 싸우기는 지금이야 선배게 두 삼다장 저게 저게 세컨 직니스도 신되어나 지되 되네자다 날jal기 라라 뇌바다 강하다 간치임네 니 자파치 semmochubachi suebokum tubachi suebat suedubachi ya seme suebokum isambe dinichene sueba samda dineda rangi lu longje da gewe zawa karine jingyi xianlia penbachi de xianle dangi ya sambege duschene mebacha samnasta dan dine izewjilda antijalia ngedirin kewa sashebege dine samdana kewa sawa digi tela dine 마음반의 댄상보 대주밀로 토비 규규와쇼스 타바침에 최념는 지투기 댄상보 토비 규규와쇼스 데네 토버쇼 세베게 네네 몰람자샤베나 당한주게 다 개와치마 하다미 댄주기 댄 타바침에 최념는 제 댄상보 톱투얘기 규디 데네시사고로 데네게 하나주 군로 직곧 규주 까마 직니나래 사투얘기 고업쇼르다 당한주게다 델레다 데네게 야네 야도 삼다 무디 삼다면은 다고 니보 권에 권도 패주고 얼마도 니바 찰찰주고 봐 어두치는 지금 고급 되네시 이제 사반 디링기다 다주 디네 녀버 신도가 개비 된주 토벌 교와라 갈레디다 펜바 마드나 안치데 양도 쇼가라 규루 세데 된다디 아주 두치는 삼다게 아주 냠rel이야 두치 삼다에 엔데진예를 셔야디다 제 근데 저기 제시와를 챔비게 안줄야 전주 두송하든 안줄 된다 송바를 빼마시게 그딘 챔버지다 아니 야고시오레 셈비게 안지준게 야 대바자 대바기야다 그딘 지수 챔바 데네 송바나 신안줄 된다 송바나 신 디링이 데네기 고갑요디 갑리야 냠는 탈셈바 지기야 셈비게 두시는 매바체 삼다이든 아주게 디링기 아주게 셔야디게 다디 소수기 냠을리야 자야디 두시는 자도 가지고 올와 데네 자당 아주게 두시는 라징 알아서 라션 참아 데네 삼을 감 당도도 지야디 예치 마자고래
So when I just said, I encourage you to do this meditation for half an hour every day. And when you have time to do so for longer, some of you may think, oh, I just don't have empty time like that every day, free time like that every day. But that is a mistaken approach to meditation. Meditation is about developing new habitual ways of thinking. So whilst one is encouraged to sit in a quiet environment on one's own, one thinks that in many different circumstances, engaging in a variety of activities. So when you have some mental space, just some seconds, some minutes, that is sufficient. For example, if you are walking somewhere, you have there in those times a bit of time, maybe a couple of minutes when you're going from A to B. Use that time. Recall what has been covered here. Recall your great fortune at having heard these teachings, of having met this text. And if that thought will take you from one room to another, but in that time you've generated virtue. So how much can one then reflect, walking from, say, one building to another, walking from one block to another? Here one can reflect on the preciousness of one's rebirth, this precious opportunity that comes with this incredible intelligence that we have, that we can generate a determination now that when I arrive at my destination, I will ensure that my interactions with others are ethical. In other words, I'll restrain my mind from coming under the influence of the afflictions. I will not speak or act towards others in a harmful manner at all. And rather, to the extent I can, I'll have a gentle attitude towards them. So that if in my encounter I encounter some hardship, I won't let that overwhelm my motivation to, at the very least, ensure my mind doesn't come under the influence of the afflictions. I will not harm others, and I'll stay patient no matter what I encounter. And where I have the opportunity to be of benefit to others, I will look for those opportunities, and I will give of myself to others, whether that's sharing my resources, sharing my skills and talents, sharing precious time, whatever it may be. But certainly this merit that I'm accumulating as I walk from here to there, I offer to all others. So what I've just recounted there, how long did that take? A minute or two? Thinking like this, again and again, throughout one's day, one will very quickly develop new habitual ways of thinking. So that when one encounters others, immediately our mind of ethics will be manifest, and we'll guard our mind with mindfulness and introspection from coming under the influence of the afflictions. We won't bring harm to others. We'll have a generous spirit of wanting to help wherever we can. And we'll have a patient attitude, an attitude where our mind doesn't get overwhelmed when we face adverse circumstances, whether from others or arising within us. So reflecting like this, again and again, takes a minute or two. And this is something that we all have time for, no matter how busy our life. And hopefully, in addition to that, in the morning, or perhaps in the evening, one can also engage in reflection. Some lives are very busy. But opportunities, brief like that, one can engage in at any time and repeatedly throughout the day. And this is how we build new habits. And this is the meaning of meditation, developing new habits. So this then is the meaning of this verse here. And in addition to from what we looked at before, again call to mind the kindness of Shantideva for over lifetimes having cultivated these qualities within him and then shared them with others, as well as the kindness of the entire lineage of great masters who have kept these teachings alive, not merely preserved in books, but alive in their own hearts, and have shared them across generations to others, such as ourselves. Generate a recognition at our immense fortune, and not to let this precious life that we have go to waste. Because our life will come to an end. We have no idea when. So let's commit now to utilizing what remains of this life well. And how to do so? These short reflections that I've just recounted, engage in that several times a day. And that will start to radically shift your perspective. You'll ever more come to have gratitude, recognizing the incredible opportunity that we have all achieved, and develop the determination not to let it go to waste. So this then, in brief, is how we can utilize the advice that has been received tonight, again and again, so as to develop ourselves and be of ever greater benefit to those that we in our immediate vicinity, our loved ones, as well as those in our broader circle, our colleagues and those who meet in community, as well as through them, society as a whole. We have the ability to have a beneficial impact on all the lives around us. Okay, so thank you. If you have some questions, then feel free to ask. Otherwise, thank you very much. Cameron, yeah.
Yeah, so we're talking about developing Bodhicitta with the human, the opportunity of the human birth. I was just interested in just a few words on what it is, why it is that gods have no inclination to develop bodhicitta.
So why is it that gods don't have an inclination? Yeah, to develop bodhicitta. In Kadajane la konso jansukisim kiekido yomatabe.
Kie yores. Jelale ya yore. Ine mina shinchi. Az milia yagade miliores. Tiendi yagade miliores.
Amongst the wide array of gods, there are those who have the aspiration. So amongst all of them, there are those who have. But compared to humans, it's so much more difficult. For us, it is incomparably easier.
Well, why is it easier? Why is it harder?
Jietue de carresene, Mazo Lada Michine, Salia, Tseringu, Tseringa, and the Dunga de Ganga de Nuayore. Tis a Ganga Gazu, Mazu Chuchi, and Yamen de Carson, Ganga Tiu, or the Ganga de la Tarudu Sembe, Samlo Chiki, and the Ganga de Targa Tablam Dilia, Zegorua, Chesangazulia, Milia, and she be Dungal Masuna Nua, Tsetun Mawa, Tsetunwa, Ganga be Mahayore. Lali Tserinware, and Tungendike Yahayore, Dineza, Church, Halia, Gokap Nuayore, the Zangamilia, Tunyare said Kimzendia.
So we think about the life of a god. How does it differ from the life of a human? They have very long lives, also very short. They have incredible comforts and pleasures. We do not compare to them. And they have, therefore, so much more happiness than us. So it does look like their situation is so much better than ours. But because of these qualities to their life, the length of the incredible length of their lifespan, as well as all the happinesses and pleasures and comforts of their life compared to us, they struggle to give rise to any genuine wish for freedom from suffering. And that is the basis to generate bodhicitta. Because one first has to give rise to the determination to break free from samsara and then apply that to others. So that basis, that foundation, is incredibly difficult for a being who has such a long life, doesn't need to have any sense of urgency, there's always a tomorrow, and who has an abundance of pleasures compared to us. Okay.
Yeah, that's it.
Then thank you very much. Thank you.